Hey everybody, have you ever wondered what an arpeggio is? I first saw it like this. It was a finger picking thing, right? But then I started seeing stuff like this. Are they the same or are they different? Let's check it out. Today on the Guitar Workshop, I want to talk about arpeggios. I had some students asking about the difference. They were a little confused, and rightfully so. They are confusing. There's little different types of them, and I want to go over just a few basic ideas, kind of a general overview of what an arpeggio is, and how we deal with it on the guitar. Musically speaking, an arpeggio is the notes of a chord one at a time. As a guitar player, we deal with that in a few different formats, or a few different ways. Let's check them out. So if I just took the notes of an A minor chord, musically speaking, those are just three notes, A, C, and E. You would need to know a little bit of music theory to know what notes are in a chord, or you could just look at your basic chord form, and with a note diagram, you could kind of reverse engineer what the notes are. You'll see redundant notes and stuff like that, but you'll only actually see three different notes here. You'll have an A, an E, an A, a C, and another E again. As a guitar player, I was confronted with two distinct worlds of dealing with arpeggios. One was what I and most of my students consider finger picking, right? And that's kind of a funny association of a guitar technique with a musical skill, but it makes sense though. When we take an A minor chord, and I pluck each string individually, that's an arpeggio. I like to consider this a harmonic arpeggio because I'm using harmony, i.e. a chord, to achieve this. Now we know a chord, the arpeggio is a chord, but this is a sustained sound. This is something I can't do with my voice. We'll talk more about that when we talk about melodic arpeggios. So a harmonic arpeggio is often a held chord in the left hand, or your fretboard hand, and we pick the individual strings in any given creative, cool way. You can do this with a pick. Some people think it has to be finger picking literally, but you can definitely separate the notes of a chord with your pick. Of course, the benefit of finger picking is you can get non-adjacent strings at the same time. That kind of thing. In a melodic arpeggio, that's when I used to actually call them classical arpeggios. I think I probably first heard Randy Rhoads doing a lot of these, and Eddie Van Halen as well. And these melodic arpeggios are one note at a time on the fretboard. They don't overlap. That's the difference. A voice can do melodic arpeggios. A saxophone and flutes do melodic arpeggios. They do one note at a time. You could think of it as monophonic. So melodic arpeggios are monophonic, which means one sound at a time. And harmonic arpeggios are polyphonic. They have multiple notes at a time. The arpeggio itself is limited to the number of notes in the chord. So if you just have an A minor chord, there's only three notes, A, C, and E. Again, talking about the A minor chord specifically. Now on the guitar, this could be a legion of lessons on how to decipher and navigate all that information once you get to the guitar. So an arpeggio, a melodic arpeggio on the guitar, you'll see them on one string. People do that sort of idea if they're finger tapping. People use open strings. Those were making arpeggios on the B string. So we can play arpeggios on a single string. We can play them in a very traditional way of the kind of one note on one string, two notes on another string. You've heard that a million times. The Hotel California guitar solo, Sultans of Swing, to Yngwie Malmsteen. So a lot of people use these in different ways from there. So this video, I just wanted to give a brief overview of the two different schools of arpeggios. Let's summarize again. There are the finger-picked style. We're going to call these harmonic arpeggios. So I'm playing each chord, only the notes in the chord, and I'm separating them all individually in any different way I want. But we can also, on the melodic side, those are one note at a time, monophonic. And you can navigate these in a number of different ways as you play. The only musical consideration you need to know about arpeggios, harmonic or melodic, is the timing and the rhythm. So if you're playing eighth notes, you literally have 8 plucks per chord. So I could do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for an A minor chord, for instance. And that could be any number of ways and combinations. And again, you could do this with a pick. So if we did 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Think about the intro to Ain't Talking About Love by Van Halen. That's an A minor to G arpeggio and Eddie's using his pick. So arpeggios are really fun. There are different ways of using them too. You don't have to keep playing them in a repeated fashion. I remember seeing melodic arpeggios were repeated. Again, thinking Hotel California, Randy Rhoads, any number of solos. But they don't have to be. People like David Gilmour use arpeggios a lot, kind of as solo ideas, of course, but he's playing. You know, that was happened to be an A major arpeggio, and I went to a D major arpeggio. But they're very melodic, and they're really nice to use in a solo way without being a repeated classical style. Again, that's why when I was younger, I used to think of these as classical. They sounded classical, but you don't have to make them that way. Country players use arpeggios, jazz players use arpeggios. Really, everyone uses arpeggios in different ways. They can be bass lines, they can be riffs, they can be hooks to songs, and you'll see them in all capacities in music. And once you're familiar with them, you're going to start to see them popping out. And here at Lead Guitar Workshop, I stress learning the notes. There's only 12 notes. There's only so much to learn with the notes, and it never changes. You know, most of my students know more members on their favorite sports team than they actually know about the notes. But the notes don't change. Once you know them, that's it. A minor is always ace. That's how I remembered it, A-C-E. No matter what A minor on whatever instrument and what style of music, that's always the same. And once you know that, to me that was really peace of mind information. Then you just have to go to your instrument and learn how to deal with it on your instrument. All right, so I hope that helped. Check out leadguitarworkshop.com. Please hit the subscribe button, hit some comments, send in some questions if you have anything you want us to cover, and we'll gladly take a look at it. Thank you so much. Rock on, and I'll see you out there.